Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, kings and queens again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the liberated zone. To all the liberated zones of Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Good afternoon to the liberated zone of South Africa, KZN. President Zuma. Good afternoon to all the royals, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. This is the royal opinion. Today, talking about the void that the leader of the MK party, now Floyd Shivambu, has left his former party, the EFF. My opinion is the members of the EFF or the EFF should just uh, join the MK party. President Zuma calling for the unity of the black people and black parties, calling for every black organized structure to join hands in the fight for liberation of South Africa from the colonial rule and from the slavery, from apartheid. Floyd Shivambu leaving a huge gap in the EFF. I was listening to the president of the EFF, President Julius Malema, giving a lecture at the University of Pretoria, giving the supposedly a lecture at the University of Pretoria. Normally, uh, this was the department handled by Floyd Shivambu. I had Mbuyiseni Ndlozi talking about uh, that he cannot be convinced by an 82-year-old man that he would liberate the people. Shockingly, because our elders are the wealth of our knowledge. If you can't be convinced by an old man, then there's nobody else who can convince you. If you say you cannot be convinced by your old man, then you are a lost nation. You've got nothing to learn from those who came before you. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi saying that he is not going to be convinced by an 82-year-old. Instead of saying, I cannot be convinced by a 22-year-old. He's saying, I cannot be convinced by a 82-year-old. But 82-year-old, somebody who has got massive knowledge of politics. The EFF have been trying to explain to South African what is their message since the past 10 years. South African did not understand anything about what the EFF represent or what the EFF stands for. That we can see by the way in which South Africans are responding. The EFF did not get any votes. Basically, they did not get any new votes in the past election. They actually lost some votes in the past election. The EFF have been trying to convince South Africans that there is an alternative to the ANC. Obviously, something is wrong in the EFF and the way they are trying to convince people. Mbuiseni Laws is saying he's not going to be convinced by an 82-year-old man that we can fight back and liberate South Africa. But failing as a young man to convince uh, organization to rally behind him and to convince even the young people to rally behind him or behind the EFF in order to liberate South Africa. The EFF has already failed. Instead of using the opportunity to try and convince South Africans, because you realize South Africans chose the MK party above the EFF in the past elections. You cannot be happy that the DA has got more votes more than the EFF. So instead of using that opportunity that you get every time in the public to make sure that you talk to the people, to convince them why they should rally behind the EFF, you say you cannot be convinced by an 82-year-old man. I think this is really unnecessary and uncalled for, because we should be convinced by our elders. We should learn from our elders and we should be able to be convinced by our elders. When our elders give us direction, we should be able to take the direction uh, actually without even question, experience than us, and they have better best interest to see us succeed. They have made mistakes in the past on our behalf, mistakes that we don't have to make. So if we are guided by older people, we're actually in the best track that we can be, because we will be able to avoid the mistakes that they did when they were still young. If we don't have older people in the organization like President Zuma, who is a beacon, what needs to happen in the future, if we don't have such people um, in a family, then that family is probably doomed, because there's no leader who is going to take that family without experiencing hiccups due to his guidance. So Mbuyiseni Ndlozi should learn that we are learning from our elders, that we do learn from our elders, and that we can be convinced by an 82-year-old. We should, and we can be convinced by an 82-year-old man to liberate South Africa. So Hussein Lozi should take the lesson and learn that we can learn from our elders. In actual fact, not we can, we should learn from our elders. We should take direction from our elders. The older they are, the better we can learn from them. President Zuma is a wealth of intelligence and knowledge. If you are an academic like him, he's got a lot to learn from President Zuma. So if you've got an opportunity uh, uh, to talk, if you've got a platform to address people, try and convince them about what the EFF can deliver or what the EFF stands for. Because if you listen to President Zuma, if you listen to Floyd Shivambu, they don't talk about other political parties, or they don't talk about characters. They only address what MK stands for. And the people have chosen the MK party over the EFF because the MK party has been clearly articulating what they want to achieve, though they did not even have the constitution. The EFF, with its constitution, 10 years, MK party, less than a year, without the constitution, with an old man. EFF should not be should not be saying what they are saying at the moment. They should be having their tail in between their legs because they were defeated in the election by the same old man. The same old man that they say they will not learn anything from him. They were defeated in the election. They were supposed to put their tail between their legs and come and learn from close the EFF, close the EFF party, who's just wasting time for Black South Africans. Close it down, incorporate Black unity. Take the people who are in the EFF, take them to the MK party. Let's achieve what President Zuma wants to achieve. Let's stop criticizing people who are acting in a proper way. Let us join hands as black people. If our aim is to liberate black people, why not join hands and fight together? Why not close? There has been many organizations that have closed. More than 10 organizations have closed and joined the MK party. What is the purpose of the EFF? Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, the first priority on the constitution is to achieve black unity in order to liberate black people. President Zuma, in the opening preamble of the constitution, saying of the MK constitution, saying that the imperial masters and the colonial masters have only defeated black people because black people have never been united. Since the arrival of white people, black people have never been united. Black people were living in individual kingdoms. Black people were not in one group, sitting as one group. They were families. Basically, black people were living in families. So each family used to be a kingdom. So white people have never experienced black people who are united. Since their arrival in 1652, the ANC was started in 1910 in order to try and unite black people to fight for their land. but somehow it was hijacked. It was sold to the colonial master for a plate of uh, food on the table. So the MK party, being the best organization for black people at the moment, and the MK party being the biggest uh, political organization for black people in South Africa at the moment, um, and being the most successful in the election, though the MK party have been robbed on these elections, the MK party still came above the EFF. Close, you cannot criticize this. I was actually listening to Julius Malema giving a lecture. I will share briefly. This was Floyd Shivambu department. It was Floyd Shivambu department. The lecture, the lecture. Floyd Shivambu used to give lectures um, in the EFF. Julius Malema trying to replace Floyd Shivambu, trying to give lectures, failing decimally. You can't even the lecture does not even have a topic, a subject. What is the subject of the lecture? Like he did not learn anything from Floyd. It does not even understand what is a lecture. In my understanding. Nomason Togumede saying you are very right, Mkonto. We're going to liberate our nation, country, and the continent. So then let's unite and fight the uh, meaningful fight and let's win our country. Thank you very much, Nomason, today. It's very, very important. Let's unite. Let's take the members of the EFF, all of the members of the EFF. I've suggested this before the election that the EFF should actually close and unite with the MK party to form a strong unity to the going towards the next elections. Black people have never been united since white people arrived in 1652 in South Africa. So black people, white people have always been fighting black people in pockets. If black people can be united according to President Zuma's vision, black people will be able to liberate themselves. Black people today are living in pockets of political organization. This political organization sponsored by the enemy agent, in order to keep black people in poverty. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mngoni Mkonto and you are on the Royal Opinion, where we do better political analysis than the bought out characters in the name of political analyst in the SABC. This is the most forensic political analysis in the internet, according to Victor Shongwe. We go with that payoff line. According to Queen Dimakatso Dlamini, the people who watch this channel are called the Royals. We go with that suggestion. Lecture, that the attempted lecture, let me just say, is an attempted lecture because this is not a lecture.
Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to also greet the leadership of the EFF from the Central Command Team, which is where the leadership of the province, the leadership of the region, and the leadership of the student command nationally led by the president, leaders who are here today, and all of you, the students who are looking into the future and highly committed to the transformation agenda. We want that this EFF represent the future will be racist when they were racist themselves. They felt so inferior that when they could not defeat you democratically, they resorted to smear campaign to undermine the democratic will of the students. Fellow fighters, after all of this attempt to deny you the rightful victory you attained last year, you were not discouraged, and you worked harder for students, and you once again emerged victorious, and no one could deny you your victory. I am here, therefore, to honor you because you represent the fighting spirit that we need to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime and to achieve the defeat of racism and white supremacy.
You remember the fees must fall. You remember the fees must fall movement. The fees must fall movement. This was the movement that was supposed to be led by the EFF. If the EFF was a leader of the nation, that was the first opportunity for EFF to lead. The EFF could not lead at that. They cannot take credit of the fees must fall project because they never stood they were never part of there may have been involvement of EFF members in the movement, but the movement was not led by the student command. The movement was not led by the EFF because EFF is a sellout organization. EFF is a sellout political organization. Let me say, Julius Malema is a sellout. Members of the EFF trust him that he is gonna help them to get liberated from the white system, while Malema is in bed with the white people. So he couldn't lead the fees must fall movement. He couldn't lead it because it's against the white project. So he had to leave the fees must fall movement, which had no political affiliation, to go on and lead the student.
I'm here to honor you, comrades and students of the University of Pretoria, because you have chosen to believe in the EFF, not based on what racists say about us, but based on what you know this revolutionary movement to represent. The EFF represents anti-racism. The EFF represents anti-colonialism. And the EFF represents justice and equality. You did not allow those who seek to undermine what it means to be black to define to you what this movement stands for. And for that, we applaud you. Comrades, there are many important things that we must reflect on here today, because it is our duty as revolutionaries to ensure that we do not allow ourselves and the ideas of our opposition to mischaracterize us. We must make sure that we, at all material times, We tell our story and we speak for ourselves. No one must choose heroes for us. We know our heroes. No one must define us, for because we can define ourselves. The right-wing organization use fear to fundraise. They use fear to secure votes, and they manipulate racists because racism relies on ignorance, desperation, and disunity. And the EFF has for too long been used as a weapon by racists to gather support in this country. When they want to engage in sort of khafar, they just mention the EFF or the name Malema, then white people get scared because that's what white supremacists are. They are gullible and they get easily intimidated because they want to protect privilege. Fighters, we must never be ashamed of being black. We must always be black and be proud. And we must always fight against Africanerism and against white supremacy. We must not allow those who stole our land and our wealth to want to project themselves as our heroes. We must confront racism at all material times. This university celebrates racism. It is the center of racism. The white supremacists find comfort in this university. And we must tell them that this place will never be a home of Africans.
So, so far, I call this an attempted lecture. He's trying to give a lecture. So far, we don't know what is the subject of his lecture. Lectures are somehow where you uh, take your audience from a particular knowledge, give them a particular knowledge, give them a particular case study, make it relevant to the current moment, compare with the material conditions that we are currently in, and give the knowledge. In a lecture, it's where you get deeper. This is you are talking to student. You need to give an ideological direction. You're not talking to 12-year-old kids from a primary. You are talking to adults. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give a lecture. But because if EFF was not a sellout organization, uh, Floyd Shivambu would not have seen a reason for him to leave the EFF to join the MK party. And join the MK party. It's for the mere fact that he could realize that his purpose that they want to serve, to liberate, to contribute in the liberation of black people in South Africa, that purpose cannot be achieved sitting with Julius Malema in the EFF, because Julius Malema is a sellout. If the EFF was genuine, it was going to be joining hands, no, hands, uh, joining hands in, or almost merging with the MK party, merging itself with the MK party, because you cannot falter any message of the MK party. What the MK party is saying about black unity, you can't falter it. If you are genuine about uniting Africa and you can't unite South Africans, how would you unite Africa if you can't unite South Africans? In the upcoming conference of the EFF, uh, Julius Malema is basically excluded KwaZulu Natal from participation. EFF conference, the upcoming EFF conference, KwaZulu Natal is actually excluded from participation by Julius Malema because it's only according to his 10% rule, it's only 14 branches which will qualify to go to the conference and participate. They actually invited other branches because they couldn't corrade. They couldn't form a quorum for the conference, so they had to invite um, more, and then they came up with a plan to invite people to come and have an observer status in the conference. If you are serious about if you are serious about uniting black people, why can't you unite the EFF and the MK party and become one thing? If you are serious about uniting Africa, that's a big project. It's a bigger project. If you say you are serious about uniting Africa and you can't unite the people of South Africa, or you can't unite even the people of South Africa who are under your organization, you exclude others because you want to direct politics, or not even politics, because that is not politics. It's criminality, the act of criminality that they do in the name of politics. They want to misdirect resources. So they want their people, their stooges, stupid people who going to occupy the positions. So they sabotage. They come up with rules that are made during the game, the rules that are made when the game is being played, the new way of qualifying branches, which came while the game is being played. Other people getting excluded in the EFF. Close the EFF and collaborate with the MK party. Join the MK party. You are a clown, just like your Forum, who will never succeed in dealing with the EFF. And so funny, you have never talked about Ramadola or the white DA. Makroti 1050. Makroti 1050. Please subscribe to my channel and watch my previous videos. You will realize that I have been talking about Helen Zille in the past 7 days. I was talking about DA, the GNU. I was talking about Ramaphosa. Actually, in the past 7 days, if you can watch my videos about that, it's just that today I woke up and decided to talk about the EFF. I know what I'm saying. It's difficult for the EFF members to swallow because they feel like I'm attacking the EFF for no particular reason. Of the EFF are slave traders. They have sold the organization to the white people for just a plate of food. The leaders are involved in uh, uh, bigger things that other people are not aware. The EFF and Ramaphosa, or Julius Malema and Ramaphosa, are very close people. They work together. Ramaphosa, being an agent of white people, Julius Malema, very much in love with Ramaphosa. Julius Malema being an agent as well of white people. Yesterday, I was speaking about the fact that they take the case for Palapala to court just to help Ramaphosa to close the issue. EFF Macroti 1050 says EFF got 9%, while you got 0%. And if Julius Malema cannot unite Africa, what about you, a white stooge with clumsy hair? White? Am I white? Do I look white, guys? Some other. Macroti. Maybe I don't understand the English there. It's okay. Somebody please send another message so that I can quickly replace his message there. If you want us to remove his message, please send another message, because this what is sending there. I really don't understand what he's talking about. The MK party got 14% national. The MK party took over, liberated KwaZulu Natal. We can call KwaZulu Natal today liberated zone of South Africa, because the MK party got about 45% of the vote share there. The MK party uh, coming above the EFF, getting 14% nationally. The MK party being uh, less than a year old. The EFF being 10 years old, being led by young people, and the MK party being led by the legend, an old man, 82-year-old man. The MK party has been very successful, very successful. I don't know 0% that you are talking about. A white stooge is a garden boy like you that seeks to divide black parties. No, I don't seek to divide black parties. I seek to unite black parties by exposing the truth about those who are lying to black people. That's what I seek to do. I seek to unite black unity, not out of lies, but out of the truth. And showing people the right direction, that actually this is what is needed for black people to achieve the unity that we need. Black people should unite behind President Zuma. The black people should not criticize President Zuma. Julius Malema should learn from President Zuma. He should will not be able to get more than 5% in the coming local government elections. They will never be able to get more than 5%. From 9% that you are talking about, Makroti, from 9% in the next elections, which will be local government elections, the EFF will not be able to. And then you say I am a garden boy, and then you say my hair is just natural, man. I did not do anything to it. It just grow like that. If you insult my hair, then you insult God, because God created me like this. And these are free forms. I did not make the dreadlocks. The locks have made themselves in my head. So if you insult me, you insult the creator. you, you insult the creator. You don't insult. You are not insulting me. You are insulting the creator. But thank you very much for participating, Makroti. There, everybody else can participate. Alhamdulillah. Malema will never merge with MK party because he wants to be live president of the EFF. Yes, he wants to be live president of the EFF, but he's not. He's holding on to nothing because that thing is dying. It's not growing. It's dying, and it's dying a painful death. If he's not gonna act fast, is going to find himself with only very few stupid people there trying to contest. Well, he's going to be in parliament, maybe like Muswal Kota. One member, two members in parliament is going to hold on and be like that and have some members in parliament. But as the direction that the MK party is taking, the MK party will be leading. The MK party will take over leadership in South Africa. The way they are gathering intellectuals, the way they are able to convince other political organizations to rally behind black people and to rally behind President Zuma's vision to liberate South Africa from colonialism and imperialism, slavery. The MK party will be able to take over South Africa. EFF dying a very slow death. EFF, DA, ANC, same WhatsApp group, yes. Same WhatsApp group. EFF, DA, same. Same WhatsApp group. EFF, ANC, DA, same. That's why you will never see white people fighting Malem. They are never gonna fight him because it's not a problem. For them, he's not a problem. Makroti says a house slave like you can only be taken seriously by Dudula clowns and keep dreaming about not getting votes. And we ordinary Sowetans will expose you, as agent of AfriForum with only 1,000 followers. agent, agent of um, agent of AfriForum. I have never actually met anybody from AfriForum, and AfriForum is the organization that I don't like. Uh, I don't like AfriForum actually. Uh, but I don't have a problem with them. What they are doing, it's what they are doing. But they are not doing it for black people. So I don't really prefer AfroForum. I prefer the MK party. Uh, let's see this one. What else are you saying there? House slave. House slave. House slave. You know, a house slave, it's actually people like Julius Malema. A house slave is somebody whom they put closer, the white people put closer to them in order to use to convince other black people politically uh, to lead them astray like that, like Julius Malema. Those are house slaves. So I'm not in any collaboration with any system. I'm not in parliament. You can't say a house slave. It's people who are in parliament. It's people who are who are working in with white people. Those are house slaves. Yes, if Makroti, if you want to understand what is a house slave, what is your view about Panyaza Lesufi in the ANC? Amdile Sufunda. Actually, I made a video about Panyaza Lesufi. I made a video about Panyaza Lesufi. I went live like this about Panyaza Lesufi. Amdile Sifundo. Please watch that video. I'll check if I can't include the link on the description. I'll check if I can't include the link in the description of the video. I spoke about Panyaza Lesofi. Panyaza Lesofi is one confusing character for me because I can't really tell whether Panyaza Lesofi really represent black people. Is he in the ANC representing black people, or is he in the ANC just to keep black people hopeful, just to keep the radical element of the ANC hopeful that there's another leader in the ANC who's got radical views to take the ANC forward? Because things like he's an advocate for Bella Bill, which is the criminalization of black parents. The Bella Bill is a criminalization of black parents. It's nothing. It's an apartheid law. So he's an advocate for such things. But on the other hand, he says the right things. He talk the right things about black people. Uh, so, but saying the right thing does not mean right person. Makroti is angry, typical EFF, rude and disrespectful, just like their leadership. You can never lead African people when you are uncultured. Viva Mkondo, viva MK Party. Yes, when you want to convince others, you have patience. Mwiseni Ndlozi was saying that they can't learn from an 82-year-old. That is their attitude in the EFF, which is a totally wrong attitude. It will lead them astray. Because if you can't learn from your elders, then you are stupid, you are lost. If you cannot be convinced by your elders, then there's nobody to convince you. Then you can only be convinced by white people. You think the degrees and white people are the best thing to happen. Let me tell you, Mr. Fana Mlauli, who is a member of this channel. He's a member. He's joined. You can also join and become a member of the channel. We only pay 39 rand 99 a month. You can join there to support the royal opinion. Uh, I lost my trail of thoughts. I was talking about what was I talking? Yeah, I was talking about you can't say you are not gonna learn from elders. You can't say you will not be convinced by an 82-year-old. You can't, if you are okay in your head, if you are matured in your head, you can't say that, because those are the people who should convince you. Those are the people who should show you, who should guide you and show you the mistakes that they made, in order for you to be able to avoid the mistakes that they made, to continue to move forward. Otherwise, you'll be in the same place doing exactly the same mistakes that they did, exactly in the mistake that they did in 1940, or the mistake that they did in 1960. You do the same mistake now in 2024, because you can't listen to elders, and you cannot lead African people if you are really uncultured. It's true, Mr. Mlaoli. I leave your Lucy show now. I'm going to watch SM, um, SMWX and house slaves, chatters like you, fighting other slaves on behalf of their white masters. You hate Panyaza for kicking out your DA in uh, uh, Pretoria. I love Panyaza for kicking out the DA in the. Hopefully next time you will come Makroti. I actually love what Panyaza did in the Tswane Council. I think every leader should do it like that, but it does not make me trust Panyaza Sofi that is actually a leader, that black people. Um, he's a good leader, and he knows how to lead. He's very cultured. He's not clumsy. He knows how to talk to people. He's very articulate. But the only thing is, the all of this does not make them trustworthy. All of this does not really make them trustworthy. They do that because they learn how to, but they cannot be trusted. So the other guy. Thank you very much for joining Makroti. Yeah. Please join next time as well. What what have you done for black people like yourself you claim to defend, other than being an amateur YouTuber? Other than being an amateur YouTuber, what have you done? This is what I'm doing, you know. Amateur or not amateur, it's what I'm doing. You've got a platform now to air your views because of what I'm doing, Makroti. If I did not raise this argument, you were not gonna raise your views. Uh, so I actually also gave you a platform to campaign to South Africans and also to the world about the EFF, because I raised the subject. So there is something that I'm doing. I'm talking to South Africans, and I'm also talking to you. And though maybe I may not be able to convince you, but I will be able to convince others to join the MK party, and live playing, because the issue of us being divided will not help us to achieve the unity that black people need. in order to defeat colonialism and apartheid. All of those things are still intact, very much intact. The only way we can defeat them is by being united. And this unity cannot be achieved if we still have people like Julius Malema who are bought by white people to stay to just keep black people thinking that they have got to represent them while they're actually facing disaster. Keep them calm, thinking that they've got somebody who will represent them. I believe GNU Amdila Sifundo says, I believe that GNU is doing great. I think is he wanted to say job so far. Look at how rand versus the dollar is performing, petrol price, inflation, and interest rate. I think black liberation can only be effective after 10 years when we are ready. The uh, the GNU is not doing well. The numbers that you see, the petrol and all those things are actually manipulated to convince people like you, whom when they see those things, they think this is working. It's only meant to convince. This is controlled. The main thing that they are trying to protect is the resources of the land. Um, whether the rand is performing or the rand is not performing at the moment, what is the use? We've got massive unemployment. People are not employed. People are not operating companies. Government does not support things like that in black communities. So it's sort of like white people want to convince black people that GNU is working. GNU is a mess. It will never work. It will collapse. It will have to collapse. It will have to collapse. At the end of the day, the EFF will have to be called in into the GNU to go and rescue the GNU, because the purpose of the EFF outside GNU, the purpose of the EFF outside the GNU was to convince black people that there's an alternative outside the MK party other than the MK party, which will be the EFF. Convincing black people that the EFF is a viable alternative to the MK party, knowing exactly that the EFF will never liberate black people. So they leave it outside the GNU in order to confuse black people that the EFF is still in opposition to white system and the white rule. The EFF says uh, black people must occupy the land. Robert Sobukwe, when he say the PAC or the members of the PAC should hand themselves over to the police station with their IDs, he never said and never went. He said and went and hand over himself to the police station and got arrested himself. Julius Malema owns properties. He does not occupy them, he buys them from white people. He owns farms. He did not occupy those farms. He buys them, but he says black people should occupy the land. What kind of leadership is that? If you say we occupy the land, the EFF now has offices in Joburg. They did not occupy the land. They actually bought the land. Unity will never be achieved as long as we have puppets like you. And today we have more retrenchment, higher crime, racism, yet rent dollar clowns think that zealous GNU is waking. What a joke. I don't know why are you attacking me, because I actually agree with you. The only thing that we don't agree, it's the vehicle that we are using. We both agree that black people should be liberated. Isn't it so, Makruti? We agree that the black people should be liberated. The only thing that we don't agree is the vehicle. I'm saying the vehicle that you are using in the EFF, it's a scrap. It will not help you to reach the goal that you want to reach. Because I have observed the EFF and Julius Malema for a long time, and I have seen that their actions and also their policy is not against white people, it's for white people. The seven cardinal pillars of the EFF is not for black people, it's for white people. Any of those cardinal pillars I can explain. I can take an example of the major one, the main EFF cardinal pillar, which is the expropriation of land without compensation. The EFF says they want expropriation of land without compensation. But they say when this land is expropriated without compensation, the white people will not lose anything that they are using. The white people will not lose anything which they are currently using. They will just have to declare usage of the land and continue to use it. It means basically you just shift the ownership from, uh, you just pretend to shift the ownership from the Queen of England to the Queen of England. You shift the ownership from the Queen of England to Queen of England, pretending like you are owning the land. Black people will not be able to get the land. 75% of the agricultural land in South Africa is under the control of white people. So if white people will not lose their agricultural land, which land are you going to be giving to black people? Are you going to be giving them the barren land that white people have allocated already to black people? Rocky, barren lands, dry, that white people have already allocated to black people. If that 75% of the agricultural land will not be shared among all, will not be redistributed, what what land are you going to give to black people? Umkhonto Wesizwe Party says they are going to take land and give it to the rightful owners, which is the kings and queens. That is a shift in ownership. But if you only say the land is no more owned by the Queen, is now owned by the Queen in South Africa, but it's not owned by the Queen in England. Is now owned by the administration of the Queen in South Africa. What does that mean for black people? Macroti says, I vote EFF and will never be used to attack MK Party, AZAP, or any black orientated parties. And even today, my respect for Floyd has not changed as long as he is not joining ANC or racist DA. I agree with you there, Makroti. I agree with you. That is the strategy that you decided to adopt. But you know what I'm doing, what I decided to do, and the reason I'm talking like this, it's not for people to look at Julius Malema as a wrong person. It's for people to realize the truth. That's why I'm talking like this. I felt, because there are other things that I have realized, I should let other people also realize, have the opportunity to realize those things. I should share my opinion to others so that other people can also learn, uh, and basically gain from my analysis, from my views. And you can also as well share like you are doing. I like the fact that you are actually voicing your opinion. Everybody else can do like Makroti 1050, share your opinion, share your comment. Share your comment. Click the like button and subscribe. Don't forget. My name is Mungoni Mkonto, and this is the Royal Opinion. Today, discussing the issue of I'm talking about Julius Malema. I'm talking about the gap. I'm talking about Floyd Shivambu, the gap that he left at the EFF, which is huge, which is not going to be replaceable. The EFF will suffer quite a lot. It's a major loss for the EFF. When we are looking at the behavior of the leadership of the EFF at the moment, when we look at how the EFF is organized or disorganized at the moment, those who are not visionaries, those who are not able to see far, will not be able to see that the EFF is totally disorganized. The EFF is totally disorganized and lack the brain capacity to be able to grow itself and to unite black people in Africa and also in South Africa. The EFF will not be able to get more than 5% in the next local government elections, because it is a dying organization. Those who Floyd Shivambu is a visionary. He's able to see if something is alive or is dying. If you are not growing, you are dying. There's no neutral. If you are not growing, you are dying. The EFF is dying. Massive members are moving from the EFF. The EFF and the ANC are suffering the same fate. Isn't it better to close this spaza shop, go and join the MK party? You can't insist that MK party is a regional party. Of course, it liberated KwaZulu Natal first, but MK party is not a regional party. Everybody has to start somewhere. There's a start point at some point. So when the MK party starts in KwaZulu Natal, it does not mean it's a regional party. Amdile says, is it Andile or Amdile? The issue there is the capitalists are still white people, and to get us where we want to be, we must get black capitalists so that we can have markets of our own. To have land without market, we will be like Zim. Yes, the first thing that we need is the land, and then we will be able to produce resources from the land. We will be able to produce food from the land that we can uh, participate in the market using those resources that we get from the land. Creating capital, black capitalist, I agree, absolutely agree. Um, this is the difference between the MK party and the EFF in terms of the economic approach. The EFF talks about economic freedom for black people, but the economic freedom for black people that they are talking about is when the state create employment. The MK party, when they talk about economic freedom for black people, it's when black people create industries. The economic freedom that the EFF is talking about, it's when the state creates industries that employs black people. Black people remain slaves. The economic freedom, radical economic transformation that the MK party is talking about is when black people starts industries, is when black people are involved in mining, not when black people are working as miners. When black people have got businesses that work to extract minerals from the earth. Black people owns the banks. That's what the MK party is talking about when they talk about the freedom of black people. When the EFF talks about economic freedom for black people, it talks about uh, creating a state bank, not allowing black people to create banks, creating a state bank to manage black people. There's a difference between allowing black people to create banks and creating banks for black people to go and bank the money. There's a difference when black people are industrializing, and there's a difference when the state is industrializing to create a slave society. Huge difference. The EFF's industrialization is creating a slave society, a society that will be dependent on the government, on employment, and on the grants. When a black party verbally accuses another party, the oppressor is gratified that the house slaves are catching runaway slaves. The plot is successful. Yeah. You know what is happening, Victor M? The runaway slaves are getting back to the master and talking to the slaves who still wants to be liberated from the master to catch a wake up and realize that there is a way out to run away from this. This is what is happening. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mungonu Mkonto. This is the Royal Opinion. If you are joining us for the first time, you are just coming across us for the first time, relax, you will learn the language. Relax. Take your time. You're going to learn the language. And you will start to understand what we are talking about here. Relax. Click the like button. Go and subscribe. Get your water. Sit down. Let's talk. Send us your view. Send us your opinion. So here, Mr. Shongwe is not another slave catching another runaway slave. It's another runaway slave going to open the gate from the slave master that, hey, get out. The truck that you are in belongs to the slave master. The truck that you are in, don't think that you are getting liberated. The truck that you are in, it belongs to the slave master, is still taking you to the same destination that you don't want to go to. The vehicle of our liberation is the MK party. The EFF has failed to convince black people, not because they couldn't, but because they sold out. And black people can realize that. If they were genuine, black people were going to be convinced and they were going to vote for them in their numbers. But we can see that the party which is growing is the MK party. Massive growth. The MK party is the biggest political party in South Africa at the moment. Everybody knows. It's bigger than the ANC. The MK party is bigger than the DA, is bigger than the EFF. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that the MK party did win the election. If you were not convinced during the election, now you should be convinced that the MK party is the biggest organization. By just seeing the number of people who've moved from other organization to join the MK, you should be convinced and you should be able to see that the party is not playing. Black people should unite. Black people must become one. We must never convince ourselves that we've got different vehicles to arrive to the solution. And we must never convince ourselves that each one of us will travel alone and we will meet in the destination. We must know that such kind of attitude has failed us million times before. So black people should be united. Black people should stop playing, close all these other mini political parties, join forces, form one political party that belongs to black people. White people only have two political parties in parliament because they don't want to split their numbers. It's the Freedom Front and the DA. How many political parties belongs to black people in parliament? Why can't we have just one political party or two political parties that belongs to black people if we can't have one? Why do we have 150 political parties that belongs to black people contesting elections? Today it's a Sunday. Share your opinion with us. Poverty is going to be eliminated in the planet. The robots are going to come. The robots are already here. They're going to be slaves for humanity. And more food will be produced because robots will work 24 hours to produce the food. More uh, things will become cheaper because the petrol will go. Petrol will go. Solar and electric cars are taking over. Is the fourth industrial revolution. The robots are taking over uh, the jobs of humanity. Uh, the robots will even make uh, your degrees irrelevant. Those who have built their egos around their qualifications are going to collapse in this era that we're going to. So the unemployment rate can only increase irrespective of the leader who is going to take over. But poverty will be eliminated. Robots are going to slave for humanity. Humanity have been trying to find slaves since the beginning of time. They finally found a breakthrough in the robots. Black people have been creating robots in a spiritual way since a long time ago, called Ukutwala. So now we will be having the robots in our houses. So the political parties, money will no longer be a thing of status. Resources will be available for a lot of people because robots are going to produce everything for free. There won't be enough people to consume the resources that the robots are going to produce. So instead of seeking to create slaves out of black people, we should realize that already we've got slaves in the name of robots. Just to help black people to create businesses for them to employ the slaves. Help black people to capitalize, to create businesses, to employ the slaves. Don't create slaves out of black people. The robots are coming to be our slaves, everybody's slaves. They're going to take the jobs in the food market. They're going to take the jobs in every industry. The robots will take the job of the accountant. The robot will take the job of the doctor. The robot will take the job of the teacher. It's no more foreigners who are going to take the jobs of people. So we don't need a political party which will promise employment to black people. We need a political party which will promise industrialization, which will allow black people to express themselves the way they want. Nomasonto saying yes, MK party has won the election. That's true. The MK party did win the election. The MK party is the biggest political organization in South Africa. That should be said. KwaZulu Natal is the liberated zone of South Africa. That should be recorded in history like that. While President Zuma works towards liberating the other zones in South Africa, we need to also congratulate Asim Goita of Mali, President Asim Goita of Mali, for liberating Mali through the barrel of the gun. We have to congratulate uh, Abdullah Ram, Aman, Tian for liberating Niger. We also have to congratulate uh, Captain President Ibrahim Traore for liberating Burkina Faso. And we want to say thank you to the legends. We want to say thank you to President Zuma. The English colonial masters are holding on to South Africa, Ghana, and Kenya because these are the countries which are rising against at the moment. These are the countries which are seriously rising against colonialism. Out of these countries, we only have KwaZulu Natal, which is in South Africa, partially liberated under the leadership of the MK party. That's why I say partially liberated, because the MK party has not been given a chance to govern in a province which they convincingly won, they have not been given the opportunity to govern. But the MK party will continue to prepare to lead the people of KwaZulu Natal and to show what they can do to all the regions of South Africa if given a chance. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mgonim Konto. This is the Royal Opinion. If you are having a good time listening to the Royal Opinion, click the like button and subscribe. If you feel this is worth supporting, give me a super thanks. Thank you very much for joining the live stream. Thank you to all those who participated in the messages. And thank you to those who just joined and be on the background. We're going to end the live stream. Thank you very much.